All right. Just took a little bit for the go live to take effect. Hey, everybody. This is Jim, the tabletop engineer. Welcome to my workshop. I'm going to be down here for a little bit, and I promised all of you that I would try to do minimum one, but maybe two of these live sessions a week. I've debated whether or not those live sessions should be like game playthroughs or just chat and visit and hang out in the workshop. Today, I actually have quite a bit of work to do, so I figure what I do is just start the camera and just do what I got to do. Chat with you when I can, answer any questions you have, or just say hi. I have my to-do list here. You probably can't read it; it's all in green. But I've got a set number of things I got to get done today, and then then I'll probably have to do some writing. I've got two zines that I'm finishing up. They'll be kickstarting in about 2 weeks. February 4th, yeah, about 2 weeks, maybe a little less. So I've got to do some finishing on those. But today I've just got some random woodworking and laser and stuff to do. So I figure I'll do that and just chat with you when I can. So what do I got to do today? Well, I'm glad you asked. I've got to make 2 of my player game boards for Call of Cthulhu, or Cthulhu Death May Die. I've got to do 2 of those. I've got to assemble one of my porta painters. If you don't know what that is, you will shortly. I've got to cut the bridge, the roof for a bridge toy. I've got to make a 4 Against Darkness board. I've got to prime a 2x4 sheet. That's going to be outside. I probably won't be able to do that with you guys. Actually made it here on time. Welcome. This is Alan, I think, right? I always get I think Project Servatopia is Alan. So welcome, Alan. I think that's you. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to get online and see if they want to hang for a little bit. No live gaming today, no painting of minis, just hanging out and chatting with you all. Quick question. Does the Frostgrave Transcendence Wizard have a name? Yes, he does. Here. I've got so many games going. I can't remember. It's Challen. I was going to say it starts with a C. It's Challen. Chalin. Challen. I have their names on my board here, and the apprentice name is Palok. Palok. Why do you ask? Yep, I'm Eric, but I also answer to Alan. That's what I thought. Okay, Eric Allen. Eric Allen. All right, let's get started. For those of you who are here tuning in, welcome. I'm just going to be doing some random woodworking, and I'll chat with you about whatever you like, but I just figured I'd turn the camera on and get to work. So the first thing I got to do, I'm making 2 of these. This is not quite done. This is the plate, the face plate that comes out. The card goes in here. This goes over it so that tokens can fit in these slots and not slide around. And I also have to put these on the 4 corners. But before I do, I got to make one. So I'm going to make one here in front of you. It's pretty straightforward. It's got two short sides, 1 long side. I use these 1, 2, 3 blocks when I'm assembling things. I just basically put a bead of glue along the bottom edge, wipe any excess off on my finger, and then pin it up against here. Oh, I forgot. I use blocks to hold it down, to weigh it down so it's perfectly flat on the table. The reason I do that is it's nice and warm outside. It's like almost 70 today in Atlanta, but in here it's about 52 degrees. It's crazy. Wood, especially plywood, when we have these changes in temperature, and it happens in Atlanta. 1 week it'll be snowing, next week it's 70 degrees. It's crazy. What happens is it's a combination, I think, of moisture and humidity and all that, but wood has a tendency to warp. It'll get a little twisted sometimes. And so I always put heavy things down just so that I can glue them down flat. Once the 4 pieces are glued and set, even if the bottom piece warps a little, it won't matter because the 4 sides will hold it square. So that's why I use the blocks to hold the weight down. And then I can glue these sides on, and they are sort of like flat. So, all right. And another thing, I hope this doesn't drive some of you crazy. It drives my boys crazy when they come down to work with me. I am a multitasker. So I jump from thing to thing to thing to thing. And if you've ever worked with wood, you know that you got to let the wood glue dry or at least harden a little bit. So I use these are flat plates. It's MDF with a piece of melanine. I can't. It's like tile, and it's glued down on the top. And what it does, it gives me a flat surface, and I could make 2 of these. Well, you know what? Let's do that. I might as well. If I'm making 1, I'll make 2. One of the things I learned as an engineer, specifically an industrial engineer, is if you're going to make 1, make 2. If you're going to make 5, make 10. So I might as well go ahead and make another one because the glue's got to dry. And then I'll have an extra one for when someone orders one. I don't usually do this for items that don't sell well, but for items that sell well, like this one, you can never have too many that are pre-made. So I try to always use my time wisely and make as many as I can. So the reason I love these flat plates is while this is gluing, I can take this and move it over here out of the way and give myself some table room. All right. There we go. All right. So what next? Let's go ahead and put the feet on this. I will need my screwdriver. Okay. Invest in a good cordless screwdriver. This one is portable, USB, charges USB, and has got good torque on it. So I use it for putting screws in. So basically, these are just little corner feet that will go on the 4 edges. It just gives the stained item an old-fashioned look. I just like the way it turned out. And I ordered like 100 of them from China, and they sent me a huge bag of screws. Won't run out of screws. They usually send 4 per foot, and I asked them if they would send 8 per foot, and they didn't gripe. To them, those things are probably made in the 10 millions for $1, so that to them it's no big deal. I asked for extras, and these things, they just go on the corners, and you just screw them in. And science question for you, or math question: what defines a perfect plane? Plane. Does anybody know? It's good. It's a good thing to know. What makes a perfect plane? What defines a perfect plane? I'll give you guys a minute to Google it or type in your answer. And if you don't know, I'm going to tell you. It's a geometry question, but it's also an engineering question. And it's very important when you're making stuff, especially anything that needs to sit flat on a table. All right, nobody's popped up an answer yet, so I will tell you. What defines, what is the definition of a perfect plane? 3 points. You need 3 points in space to define a plane. What that means is that I only need 3 of these to make a surface that would probably sit flat, and it will, unless you put weight on one side, then it'll tip. The problem is, I was an art major, math not my suit. The problem is, I'm going to go ahead and put the 3rd one on, and I'll show you. I'll explain it. Visual will stick with you a lot longer. So I remember this from, I think it was geometry. Come on. That 3 points define a plane. 3 points of context. Shane, good answer. You knew it. And the reason it's important in manufacturing, okay, I have 3 feet. If I sit it on a flat surface, it's flat, but it's not stable. But it defines a flat plane. If I were to put this foot here in the center to make a triangle, it would be more stable. But because it has a tendency to tip and because it's a four-sided object, we need to put a fourth leg on there. Now, the problem is when you add a fourth leg, if any, these things are not perfect. I mean, they're manufactured fast. They're not cheap, but they've got some faults in them. And one of the faults is because they're not 100% flat and because you never know if you're going to be screwing them in exactly right. Once you introduce a fourth leg, you introduce the potential for wobble. I'm sure everybody here, whether you can remember it or not, you've probably experienced a time where you had a table, a four-legged table, and it wobbled. It was because only three legs are needed to define a perfectly flat plane. But when you throw that fourth one in there, you get wobble. Let me move the camera down. Watch. Well, hold on. See that? Even though it's perfectly flat, one of these feet, and I think it's this one because I can kind of look at it, one of these feet is a slight bend, and it's because it's on a neck, and these things are never made 100% perfect. So how do you fix that? Well, there's different ways to fix it, and I'm going to turn on my hot glue gun and show you how I fix it. You can probably guess since I said hot glue gun. I'm going to set this aside. This one's done until my hot glue gun gets fired up. Okay, let's keep going. 6 degrees of freedom controlled by 321. Yeah. All right, Mr. Show Off. You must work in a workshop, or you've had experience in a workshop. All right, what have I got to make next? The Porta-Painter. All right. Another thing, if you ever get into making anything, whether it's laser, crafting, whatever, it's always a good idea to have a box where you keep all the stuff for one project. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes you can't do that because, like screws, screws can be used for a lot of different projects. But like this Porta-Painter is the only project I have that uses these little felt feet, so I keep them in here. It also uses these hinges, these tiny hinges. Those stay in here. I cut out the hinges on my laser, so I keep those in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll see all this in a minute. And then I do have very special screws for the hinges. That should do it. Let me get my screwdriver real quick. Okay, where are you? All right, so just a pair of pliers and a screwdriver. So what I'm doing, this is a box I make for holding Army Painter or Vallejo or Reaper paints. They all hold, it's the size bottle. I don't have one with me. They're over there, but you can see it can hold like 24 bottles in there. So it's 3-level and it's called a scissor box. They also call it I forget, there's another term for it. Basically it's 3 levels and you'll see it when I finish it here. So this is the bottom level and this level goes on top right here. So it uses these hinges on the side and it opens like sort of scissors. And I've got to make the box before I can add all the extra stuff on it. Good day, Jim. How do y'all? Hey, Mia, welcome. So the reason you're seeing me do all these different projects today is a lot of times when I'm making things, I do them in bulk. So like I'll save all of my 2d6 dungeon boards and I'll do them like 6 or 10 at a time. But sometimes I get something that comes like on a Thursday or a Friday or a Saturday, and it's just because of Etsy's shipping window, it just requires me to sort of make a one-off, and that's what this is. The Porta-Painters are one-offs. They very rarely come in bulk, so I tend to make them one at a time. And so that's what I'm going to do here. So it just uses standard rounded Phillips machine bolts, and they hold these things in. And I use what are these called? Stop nuts. They have a little not plastic, but it's nylon filling inside. So when you screw it on, it sort of stays put. It won't come off once you put it on. And so that's what I'm doing. Sorry, I have to lean. The computer's a little bit of ways away, so I have to lean in to see the chat. And but I hope all y'all are having a good day. Like I said, it's almost 70 degrees outside in Atlanta, but it's cold here in my workshop. And when I go outside, I start sweating because I'm wearing a long sleeve. I thought I had 2 of those. What did I do with it? Oh. And I do talk to myself. I'm the only employee in this workshop. So even if you're not on here, I do have a tendency to tell myself, you dummy, you did that wrong. And come on. So not a whole lot to report to you right now on the gaming front. Some of you probably noticed I started a Frostgrave campaign. That's rolling. And so if you ever, I should show you this. So if you ever design, I don't know why you would, but you might. If you ever design a scissor box, it's an interesting, it's old school. I mean, they used to make these in the old days, but it's two holes on bottom, one empty, there's no hole here, then 3, and then this goes on top like so, and you'll see there's a hole here and a hole here, but not here. And so your hinges will go diagonally, and you'll see once I assemble it here how it works. It's really cool. I've always been fascinated by old woodworking. I tell myself that the day comes when I give up gaming and videos and crafting and that kind of stuff, I'm probably going to start a woodworking channel. I got that from my dad. I love working in wood. It's just noisy with table saws and drill presses and that kind of stuff. It doesn't really do well to chatting with you. But I have so many things I want to learn how to do and get good at, and I'm going to do that for retirement. When I finally up and retire, when my wife retires and we're sort of done with the working world, I've told myself I really want to sink into carpentry, which is what my dad used to do. He's a chemist by trade, but he was taught at a young age from Canada to in a lot of different things. One of them was carpentry. So growing up, he always taught my brother and sister and I if we were interested. My sister not so much, but she knows how to do something. Well, actually, my sister's probably better at some stuff than I am. Like, she has a farm, so she's gotten real good at like repairs and doing special home projects and stuff. But we grew up, my brother, I'm the oldest, my brother's the middle, my sister's the youngest. We grew up in a family of crafters and makers and also DIYers. And so I may not know how to do something, but I'm comfortable learning how to do it, or unless it's going to cost me thousands of dollars if I make a mistake, then I won't do it. But most of the time I can figure stuff out by watching videos, reading some books, and that kind of thing. But yeah, so you're getting a little hint about what's to come in my future. I love gaming, and I always will, but there's going to come a day when I just have to hang up the channel and won't be doing it anymore. And I don't know when that's probably 5-10 years away. I think about all the stuff in my gaming hobby here that I'm going to have to sell or give away or auction. Or I don't know. I don't like thinking about that day because it's just a lot of memories. All right, 2 more. All right, 1, 2. So when you assemble a box like this, and by the way, this box did not come into fruition. Oh man, am I out of screws?
No, I am.
Uh-oh. Well, luckily I got to go buy some more. Luckily, I'll have one left over. Woo! I hate making special trips to the hardware store. I maintain a list on a whiteboard over here, sometimes a little piece of paper, of all the things I need to get so that I don't waste trips. But I must have calculated this correctly, because there must have been at least one extra nut in this 100 count, because I just ran out and I got one left. That's funny. Now, what's interesting is I probably have 20 of the bolts left. So I don't know why that. I don't know. You know what? I do know because when I was prototyping, I used a random number, and usually I just toss the old ones into a new box when I buy it. So I'm going to have to buy 2 new boxes of machine screws to make my porta painter. So here's how it works. See that? Nice smooth motion. But what I got to do is it's too loose right now. I got to tighten it down. Have a good day. Can't hang out. No worries, Mia. We'll see ya. Got to tighten this down because it can't be too loose or it'll fall apart. And this is one of those you just get by experience. I know that I need to do about a 3/4 to a 1 full turn of the screw, and that's all I need. So sometimes it doesn't even need that much. And it's enough to lock that locking nut in, and then it won't come undone. It just sinks the metal, the machine screw into the nylon lock and holds it. And the nice thing is it can be easily removed. It's not permanent. Like it's not like using what do you call it? The thread glue. I just went blank on the name of it. You know what I'm talking about. You squeeze a little bit, Loctite. It's not like using Loctite. It can be undone. All right, so there you go. Now it is still a little wiggly. You can't, if you tighten it all the way, it won't do this. So once it's open, do you see the problem? It'll tip. You need something here to a leg. It has to have a leg, but we'll add that in a second. So the next thing I do with this is I got to put the top on it. And this is always it's not hard. It's just kind of annoying. It's the one manual part. I got to drill the holes for the hinges to put on. And do your tape. I use a lot of painter's tape to hold things in place. How many of y'all I got? I got 8 people watching. All right. Feel free to chime in and say hi and where you're from. You don't have to, but otherwise I won't know you're here. And since I'm a sole employee, it's nice to at least, y'all may not be able to physically talk to me, but you can say hi in the chat. My wife is like, you need an employee, just someone to talk to. I'm like, nah. I don't have enough work to keep them busy and myself. All right, so I secure it on there, and then what I do is I will tell you, I've made this mistake before. It opens this way, okay? So that means this is the back, which means the hinges go here. One of my earlier ones, I put the hinges on the front, and that was a well, I didn't have to throw out the whole thing. All I had to do was remake this top third here. But it was a lesson learned. I always check, which way is this thing opening? This way. So I turn it so that the back edge is here. I use my 1, 2, 3s for spacing purposes so that I can, what did I do with those screws? Special hinges and screws. So that just uses these little gold screws. I use the 1, 2, 3 block so I don't have to measure with a ruler. I just place the hinge up against it. It's flush with the edge back here. I center the dots on the thing, and I use a piece of tape to hold it in place. I get my screwdriver. Do I have my screwdriver in here? This is the one thing I've got to add to the list. I need a This is a 1/32 diameter drill bit. They break easy. I go through them. I go through probably about a half a dozen a year. So I usually buy 3 or 4 at a time. And I'm down to 1. So I'm glad that I hope I don't break it, but got to be careful. All right. Normally I wear eye shields. I'm going to get them. I always say it's better. Hang on a second. even when I'm doing simple drilling, I only get one set of eyes, and they're not perfect anyway, so I want to take good care of them. I do not want to lose my vision because of a piece of metal breaking and flying up, or a screw or a piece of wood flinging in there. So my dad taught me that. I don't care. It's a funny habit. I might drill one hole in that drill press, but I will spend 10 minutes looking for my eye shields if I can't find them, because I will not do it without my eye shields. He ingrained that into me. I also don't use the electric screwdriver, the battery, the cordless, because it has a lot of torque, so it can strip these out in the wood. So I tighten these by hand, and I kind of like doing that, because a lot of what I do, the laser does a lot of my work. So I like to do some of the work when I can, whether it's gluing or screwing stuff on, and so I take it when I can. And let's see, somebody's got a comment there. New York, welcome, Donnie. Moore's Gaming Lounge, hello from Arkansas. Welcome, guys. Glad to have you, or ladies, I don't know. Welcome. When I say guys, that's a general term here in the South. We use that for women and men. But you never know. Somebody's home, or I've got a robber. I think it's my oldest son. Working in the basement, I can always tell when someone's here. All right, so I put 2 of these on, 2 hinges. Decker? And after this is put on, then I do some more stuff. So let me, I'll spin this around so you'll get a little closer view. So I put the 1, 2, 3 block on right here. And then this goes here. Okay. 2 more screw holes. Typically, when I'm working on my workshop here, like I said, I'm doing multiple projects at once. While the glue's drying on one, I'm working on another. But something like this, where I can go from one part to the next part to the next part, I just do it, because I've learned that if I don't come to a natural stopping position, like when you glue something, you want the glue to dry. That's a natural stop. But there really isn't a natural stop here yet. That one's coming up, and once I get there, I'll move on to the next project. It's just it's a combination of just experience, like learning what works best for my workflow, but it also comes from that engineering background. They trained us how to optimize our time, how to be more efficient with our time. And I often tell people, I don't remember a lot that I studied in college, like calculus and all that, but I do remember a lot of the practical stuff that actually put into place. Come on now. And I guess that's good. I guess I don't remember. I was an industrial engineer, and I learned a lot about manufacturing technologies and methodologies. We learned about, scheduling, logistics, queuing theory, that kind of stuff. Some of it I've totally forgotten, but a lot of it is still up there. And a lot of it applies to me, even if I'm doing small scale manufacturing, which is kind of what I'm doing. All right, lid is on. So normally I could take the tape off and test the lid, but I'm good with it because I want to show you how the next step works. All right. So, well, actually I do need to show you. So I'll take the tape off. And I'll show you the next step, which you got to be careful on. All right, so the lid opens and the whole thing opens. Now remember, when you open it, it's going to tip, right? So you got to have a leg back here. This is the leg. It is glued here and it is glued. You take a bead of glue and you run it just along this top, right below this dark line here. You run some glue. Well, actually, I put it on here. This gets glued onto here, and it's only glued to this middle piece. Okay, it's only glue. That's the only touch. It's not glued down here, and that's so when it opens. So when it opens, there's your leg. Okay, it's not on the top part; it's on this middle part. But there's another problem. I put feet. I don't like the wood to possibly scratch a smooth surface. A lot of people use these, like I said, to hold their paints, and I don't want them putting on their nice dining table and it's scratching up. So what I do, I flip it upside down, and I put 4 of the felt feet on it. You cannot glue the leg on until after you've put the feet on, because the feet add about almost not quite a quarter of an inch, about 0.2 of an inch height. So you put the feet on, and have I made this mistake before? Yes, that's where I learned this. I glued that I think the first or second one I made, I got in a hurry and I put I glued the back on the leg, and then later I put the feet on, and I was like, it was still tipping, and then I was like, I didn't take into account the feet. All right, so now the feet are on. I will glue this on. It's got a pretty side and an ugly side. So the ugly side goes to there. And then what I do is I get 2 pieces of Gorilla Tape. You will always, whenever you make stuff, you'll learn that different types of tape are good for different things. I would never do this with painter's tape or masking tape. You need a really good, thick, strong holding tape. So I've got 2 pieces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those on the good side before I apply the glue. I will get my glue, and I've learned it's about 1 inch. So I just put about probably 3/4 of an inch glue on here, because you don't want it running down or getting on that bottom third, right? Because then it wouldn't open. So there's your glue bead along the top. And then what I do is, well, I'm going to have to take this off to show you. So 1 second, let me do this, because you're going to have to see this for it to make sense. That. Okay, let me bend the camera down a little bit so you can see. All right, so now it is sitting on a flat surface, flat enough. You put this on, you line it up with the edges, and you press it in place. And then I use the tape. I wrap the tape around the sides to give it a good hold. That glue will stay put and apply. And there's the tape. Now this one can go. I need to wait for this to glue really well before I put the side handles on, the front pull plates and things like that. There's knobs. So the way this works is I've got this small circle and there's a knob on back. One of them gets glued to the front. One gets glued to the back. Actually, it's the back and the front. You hold them and you use these to pull it open, so you don't have to pry it. It just makes it easier to open. These will get glued on later. And then, of course, I've got 2 finger curve pieces that go on the sides so you can carry it. And then this will come over here. Ooh, it is chilly. All right, how we doing on comments? Oh, no more comments. Okay, and we've got 9 people. All right, so eye shields away. So the Airland Porta Painter, the bridge roof. Okay. My addiction, A&W, 0 sugar root beer. Now what I got to do is I've got to make the roof for this. This is something I designed years ago. It still sells pretty well. If you know the Thomas the Train toys, like my kids were totally into Thomas the Train. I wasn't doing this when they were little. I kind of wish I was, because I probably would have done some really cool stuff for them. But Thomas the Trains, they have a magnet on the front, magnet on the back, you know, and they roll along this special track. Look like this, you know, you see how it's got the notch up here, or the notch and the thing. It slots, and they have curved pieces and stuff. And so kids will make their own train track, and these will, you know, they roll on the track. I designed a bridge, a covered bridge, and it has the wood piece glued in there. You can see it inside there. And it's made out of maple. I painted a color, and then the roof is made of a walnut, a dark brown. And there's a place here and here where the parent who orders it can customize it. They can like usually it's something like Jim's Bridge or Bobby's Bridge. And then also a letter, a monogram letter here and here. So this is the basic shape. I don't glue the roof on until after I paint it. This has got to be painted green, I believe. Yeah, green. But right now what I got to do is I've got to cut the roof for it. So you're not going to see this, but I'm going to turn my laser on. Actually, I guess maybe you could see it. I'll turn the microwave this way. Hang on one second. Let me get my wood that I need. I need a 1/4 inch. What did you do with it, Jim? Come on. I have a sheet of wood I use. It's back here. This is, let's see. Is that it? No, that's not it. Come on, where is it? I know you have another sheet of it. There it is. All right, so this is 1/8 inch. Actually, it's a little less than 1/8 inch. It's not as thick as the 1/4 inch. This is we call this 1/4, but it's 0.2. This is 1/8, but it's actually like 0.1. It's really aggravating that they can't get the thicknesses right. My son loved playing with those when he was little. The bridge looks fantastic. Thank you. Custom design. All right, so there is one roof, too small, too big. And if I've done my math right, I can get 2 more on here. Now, remember, I said if you're going to do 1, do 2. So that's why I'm going to cut 2 here. Let me send this down. I use my laser as a desk sometimes. I shouldn't do that. You never want to put anything on the glass. You just don't want to put any pressure on it because temperature changes and things. I don't know what type of glass it is. I don't know if it's tempered or not, but you can horror stories of seeing people's glass shatter. And then I think you have to order a new, well, you can put a new piece in, but it's probably a pain in the butt. Let me, you're not going to be able to see this. You're just going to have to trust me. I'm just putting the piece in there. I'm going to put some hold downs to keep it flat. And then I'm going to center it, or I'm going to put the laser cutter at the far left side. And I keep all of my, I hope you guys can hear me. I hope the volume didn't go too low. All of my files, I can store up to 100 unique files in memory. I don't know if it's not a memory card. It's like they should have made it a memory card so you could expand it. But there's a library here, and I can go and I can choose. This is Bridge Roof. You can give them names. And I'm just going down the list, and I know it's way down. And there's no way to organize it. You can delete it and then insert it back in, but it puts it at the bottom of the list. It's very aggravating. Bridge Roof. I choose it. It shows what it looks like. I hit origin and frame. And frame just it just goes around the wood so I see that it's actually not going off of the wood, and it did. Close the lid. Forgot to do something. Shouldn't be talking to you guys. All right, remember, I said that I either cut 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch. Can you see this? There's a slight difference in height. See that? Okay, the laser is a certain distance above the wood. Right now, it's set for 1/4 inch, which means if I put a piece of thinner wood in there, the laser's focus is at the top here. I want it to be on the top of this, which means I need to lower the laser just a little bit. The way you do that is you put a piece of the material that you're cutting in there. There's a screw here where I can loosen the laser head and lower it down, and then I can retighten it, and I pull that out. So, and that's what this piece is for. So I know that the focus is set right. If you don't set the focus right, the laser focus, what it can do is the beam can be wider, and so you get a wide cut, which is not what you want. You want a very fine cut. That's why you got to set the focus. Then I push start and let it do its thing. And I'm going to cut 2 of these, and I hope it's not too noisy. Move this. I don't know what I just did. I think I just unplugged my laptop. 1 second. I need to make sure I don't lose power on you guys. There we go. You guys are learning things today you didn't know you were going to learn, whether you want to or not. That's what you come to Jim's workshop, you're going to learn something. All right, while that's cutting, and by the way, I have a book somewhere. I keep track of the cut times. I can always run it through the software, and it'll give me not an estimate. It will tell me how long it cuts. I keep a book so that I know the time cuts, because 100 files you tend to forget. I wish it only has like 8 characters or 10 to save the name. So I used to think it would be cool to put the time in there, like 2.5 M for 2.5 minutes. There's never enough characters. So you learn pretty quick. Certain items that I make, they might take 20 minutes to cut. And so I'm use that time to my advantage. I treat my laser like an employee. If my laser is working and I'm working, then I'm doing 2 things at once. I've got an extra set of hands that's not really costing me anything. The laser does have a cost, but I think you get the idea. If I I've watched people turn the laser on and they just sit there and they watch it and they watch it. And I'm like, maybe they don't have enough work or whatever, but I got plenty. So I'm talking to you right now, but normally when that laser is running, I'm cutting or drilling or gluing or doing something else. And I also never stop in the middle. Remember when I told you that I have those natural stops, like I glue something, that's a natural stop. Stop and let the glue dry and move on to something else. So if I'm working on something and the laser stops, I don't put what I'm working and go deal with the laser, because inevitably I'll forget where I am work-wise. So instead, I finish what I'm doing until I come to a natural stop, and then I'll go deal with the laser. Now, in just a second, it's going to beep, letting me know the job is done. So I would normally, if I was doing something I didn't have a natural stop, I would just let that go. But I'm going to walk over there in just a second, and I'm going to drag the laser head over and start the second one. So hang on. All right. That easy. I just pushed left to move the laser head over, pushed origin, and now I'm cutting a second one. And I'll take the camera over there in a minute and show it to you. So what else do I do? So today, I can't do this on camera because I don't have the wood stained. I need to stain a sheet of wood. This is stained wood, this dark brown. It normally is this color, right? The maple. But I stain it. I need a large sheet of stained wood that I have to go outside to do. And I'm making these little dice trays. I need to make 4 of these today. They are for my Call of Cthulhu players. I'm running a Call of Cthulhu game. Is it this Friday? This Friday. And I wanted to make them something. And so I'm going to make them 4 of these. But I was going to make one of these on camera, but yesterday I didn't have to. It was raining, and I didn't have time to go and stain the wood. So stain doesn't do well when it's when it's raining and the humidity's high and all. So I didn't get to stain a wood yesterday. So unfortunately, can't do that for you. Let me see. Y'all got any questions? So sorry, I got to lean in to see. If you're not careful, you're going to learn something before it's done. Exactly. Donnie says, "Hey Jim, any plans to play Trench Crusade? I'm working on my movies." Let me tell you something. I really like the look of Trench. What was it called? Trench Crusade. I was put onto it by Uncle Adam. Uncle Adam did a video on it, and I will admit, it looks really, really cool. I tend to wait to see what the response is for new war games. I haven't heard any whispers about it at my local game store. I also don't know if it has a solo rules. I didn't really investigate it. I love a good war game. There was something about it that just I wasn't 100% sure I would get into it. I don't know if it was the setting, although I do think the setting is interesting. This World War I, era when monsters and evil, come in. It has an interesting background story. But to answer your question, right now the answer is no. I've just got so many war games and that one looks like it could be a real time sink. I think you have to print your own miniatures for it. Well, you don't have to. I think they're going to sell miniatures, but I think one of the premises of the game was that you could download files or they were going to be selling STL files and you could 3D print your own thing. So I don't know. Let me know if it has solo rules. If it has solo rules, it's a very good chance I may at least try it, because I'll try any solo skirmish game just to see if I like it. So I hope that helped. Uncle Adam. Yeah. I'm just not sure. It's also the game. I couldn't tell if it was a skirmish war game or if it's meant to be like a Warhammer, like armies, like 50 figures or 100 or whatever. Again, that was probably just he probably answered that question in the video. I just can't recall whether it's a skirmish game, meaning you have like 5 to 10 miniatures or so, 15 max, or if it's a true like army game where you have lots and lots of miniatures. All right, let me take you over and show it to you real quick before I pull it out. And let's see, move that. Can I do this? I'll set that up here. Okay. Microphone. Yeah, trying to do too much here. All right, open that up. All right, so there's the two roofs. Let me move this back. All right, remove these. Come on. And pick this up. There's not a whole lot I can do with this. I will set it aside in my scrap pile. Never know, but chances are I won't be able to get anything in there. So these are the roofs, and they have a shingle pattern that I designed in them. And now that it's cut, I do them in order. I forgot about the roofs. I take one set, and I have a shelf over here that I use to store things when I do an extra. I put it over there, and then when someone buys one, I go and check, and I go, oh, good, I don't need to cut another roof. But here's the roof, and so this will be glued down here. This will be glued down on the other side, so you can see it's a two-tone. I've never had anybody order one natural. They always order them painted, either red, blue, green, or whatever. And then there's a mini one. There's a smaller area here where these little ones get glued on below it, like that. So it's a two-level roof, like that. And it was cool. When I originally designed it sort of on a dare. I make trains. I make little toy trains like this that are compatible with the Thomas the Trains. And somebody bought one, and they said, could you make a bridge for it? And I was like, I don't know. And they said something like, well, I saw your other design for this. I think you could do it. And they said, I dare you, or whatever, which was funny. I was like, all right. So I sat down and I designed it. And this was probably only 3 or 4 prototypes before I got it to where I wanted it. The tricky part was the roof, getting the angle due to the thickness of the material. It also had to be designed in such a way that the height here and the width would support like most of the Thomas the Trains. Believe it or not, when a company makes trains like this, they will define the maximum width and the maximum height so that they can do stuff like this, right? So they can guarantee. And it took a long time. I took some emails, and I had to shoot some emails to different people and ask some questions. And finally, I managed to finagle from some guy. I don't remember how. He gave me the maximum width and height of their train line. And I wrote it down somewhere in a book. I've got it. But I designed this as close to it as I could, as close to the size of the train, because you don't want to make a huge one, right, for this little train to go through. So I kept having to shrink it and shrink it and shrink it, approaching that size. And then I ended up with this. Now, again, I can't glue these down until I paint this. So what I do, the next step, and I'm not going to do this for you on the video, is I take the painter's tape and I run it through here. Come on. And I just apply it to the track. Sorry, I can't do this while I'm talking. I cover the track, so the track remains that natural color after I paint it, and I just flip the tape over. It takes 2 strips to completely cover it, and then I can take it outside and I can hit it with the green spray paint. And then after that, I usually hit it with a coat of clear lacquer, and it's ready to be shipped. All right, so this one is ready to be painted. There you go. So it doesn't get on the track down there. I'll set this over here, right there. That's my reminder place that something's got to go outside and be painted. It is a skirmish. Excellent. Fair. Currently no solo. Yeah. You know, sometimes the solo rules come later, like with Frostgrave and Stargrave, they came later. Sometimes they are a fan created. Sometimes fans of the game will create solo rules if the actual official ones are never done. Who knows? All right, what else? Oh, I've got my so I did the well, the Porta Painter's not done. The bridge roof is done. The Porta Painter, I'm not going to say that's done. I cannot prime the sheet right now because I'm on with you guys. I'm not going to take my laptop out, and I'm not going to make you wait the 5-10 minutes it takes to stain a piece of wood. Paint that. I'll do that. So right now, the only thing I can do is cut a 4AD board, which I've got the laser up and running, so I might as well do it. Normally, I would turn the laser off if I was done, but since I've got one more thing to cut, I'll do that. So let's see. Have I missed any questions? It doesn't look like it. So I've got 6 of y'all on, so it's dropping. Y'all are dropping like flies. Probably because I think a lot of people come on thinking I'm going to be playing a game, and I just figured I'd start the camera and hang out in my workshop and invite y'all to come along. So you're not obligated to stay on. When I see it drop to like 4 or 3, I'll probably call it a day. All right. Well, I can do this. So when I cut these pieces out for the Death May Die game, I usually have some spares left over, some scrap, and they look like this. This piece comes from here, right? It's the biggest piece. So after I pull this out of the laser, I keep these. I've got 6, 7. I got 7 of these. And I can cut 2 of these circles out on it. It's a little tricky, but I can do it. I've got the math down. I've actually got the file. It's like this. So what are these? Well, with every one of my Death May Die, with every one of those player trays that goes out, I always send them a little medallion with an elder sign on it. These are dirty. What do I mean by dirty? They have some residue on them because these have been engraved. It actually burns deeper into the wood, and it's that brown color because it's burned. And you may not be able to see it. Yeah, you kind of can. There's some like, there it is. See that shine right there? I don't know if you can see that, but there's like a residue. And it's usually from the smoke and whatever oil is in the stain. There's like usually, because it's liquid that is applied. It's usually this residue, and you may not be able to see it. Yeah, you kind of can. It's like a stain around the ends of the sign. And all I do is I take some isopropyl alcohol and I just put it on a rag and I just clean the face of it. And it's enough to get that off. So I'm doing 3 of these because I have 3 that I cut out the other day and just, or 3 left over. So I clean them up. And then what I do, and this is just extra. This is like, I advertise it when someone buys one of those. I say, oh, you also get a free elder sign amulet. Got you as background noise. No worries. Okay. So the next thing I do, hang on. I cut a cord out of thicker cord here. So I just cut it. I feed it through the hole. I clip it real quick with a pair of, just a small clamp. Okay. Just clamp it. And then I cut a piece of colored leather strap or cord or whatever. And I just tie a double knot and one amulet with an elder sign. And I send one of these with every with every one of those game boards. And you know, it would normally be material that I would toss out because there's not a lot I can do with this. And it's just an extra, and people like extras. So if you ever go into a laser business, try not to throw out scrap wood. There's always, if it's too big of a piece, don't throw it out. But if you can give your customers something extra. I learned that with my zines. Somebody told me a while back, one of my fellow zine writers, he said, what else do you ship with your zines? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, oh, you got to do something. And he sends like little business cards, and they usually have like a miniature on them, a paper mini that you can cut out and glue, and you got a little paper mini. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So what I do is I ship postcards. I not just postcards. I have some other stuff, but I'll print like 1,000 for $10. I'll print like postcard size, and I'll print like props that the GM can cut out and use in their games and stuff like that. Here's number 2, and I got one more to do. And those have been very popular. And so I also not only send them out with my Kickstarter, but when someone orders like a back issue, now I've got 10 or 15 different types of postcards over there. I've also got brochure adventures that I write. They're trifold, like a 3-fold brochure. And I usually send those out with Kickstarter. They're usually like a stretch goal, like, or not really. No, I do those as just a giveaway. And but when I order like 200 to go out with the zines, I'll order 400 or usually 300. And I have extras. And so when someone orders a back issue of my zines, if they order 1 zine, they get a postcard and a brochure. If they order 2 zines, they get 2 brochures and 2 postcards. You get the idea. And it doesn't really cost me any extra because I've ordered them in such bulk, but it's nice. I like to give people that buy my stuff something extra. I also ordered a 6-sided dice, green, with my Tabletop Engineer logo on it. And those go out with certain items. With any of my game boards, not the Cthulhu ones, but with any of my like 4 Against Darkness, 2D6 Dungeon, those kind of things, I usually send a 2D6. I also send them with, what else do I send them? Well, you get the idea. I have different things I like to give away with items, and it's just a nice thing to do. If you ever start a business, laser or other, always keep in mind, give your customers something extra. So there you go. All right, got just about okay. So no more. I'm down to, well, it went up. I'm up to 8 viewers instead of 6. Okay. That was these. And then what I do is I just take these and I have a box over here and I just store them. And when someone buys one of those, they get one of those. And because I can make 2 for each one of these I cut, I never run out of them. And at some point I'll have so many of those that I'll either have to come up with something else to cut on these, or I'll just start throwing those away. It is what it is. What else can I tell you? If you have a workshop, a lot of this is probably common sense. Wear your eye shields. One of the things I do in my workshop, and it takes a while to develop into a habit, is I have a place for everything. Not everything. I frequently misplace my eye shields. I don't really have a place. I should, but I use my eye shields all over the workshop. And so I have a tendency to lose them wherever I was last. But like my drill, I take it apart, battery comes out, I have a place that it goes. It's in a drawer. Now that's pretty standard. But my glue, I have a special place for my glue. All of my tapes are in a box over here. So when I clean my workshop, when I'm all done, I take all my tapes, I come over here and I put them in the box. My 3-2-1 blocks, they're stored over here to my right on a table. The cord I just showed you has a special box over there. This toy that I use to test the magnets, it goes right here. And I never have to worry about finding it. And it's just a habit. You have to do it a dozen times or so. And then it becomes almost like second nature. I do it a lot of times. I put things up and I don't even think about it. And then when I go, I need my glue. Well, my glue's sitting right where it should be. It's a good habit to get into, and it keeps you from losing your mind and losing whatever it is you need tool wise. Hey, Toby, welcome. Toby's over in the UK right now. It's nighttime over there, so he needs to get to bed soon. No, he doesn't. He's working on 2D6 Legendary, so you stay up as long as you need to get that game finished and out the door. That's really all I have, my friends. I mean, I'll stay on a little bit longer. How long it's been an hour. Can't believe it's been an hour. But the cool thing is, I think I'm just about done with everything that I need to do today. I didn't do the 4AD board. I can finish this up for you. This was my Porta Painter box. So now that it only takes about 15 minutes. So I will take the tape off here. Oh yeah, it's on there. And I'll take this off. And now that leg is on there, it will... This is what I get. This is what I get for talking and working at the same time. Yeah, I made an honest to God error while I'm live on video. I glued this on the front. So how do I fix it? Well, it's easy enough. I glued it to the middle shelf. I'll just cut a middle shelf, glue it, and then I also need to cut another back piece because, nope, I can pull it off. The glue was not 100%, so I'll be able to use this again. I won't use that because you can see the glue stain on the front. I'm not going to send somebody that. So there we go. That's another lesson from Jim's workshop. Pay attention to what you're doing and don't be talking to people. I'm kidding. I'm not going to blame y'all. I should, but I'm not. That was my own stupid fault. That is a first. That is a first. I've never glued that onto this side before. I have put the hinges on the wrong side, but I've never glued that. I can't believe I did that. Oh, okay. I don't even have to cut. I don't even have to cut another middle. You want to know why? Can you see why? There are 3 holes. I can just take this and reverse it. So I should probably glue that back on before I'm going to put it back on before the glue has totally set. I'm going to retape it. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you get lucky and your mistake can be fixed. Not always. So I will tape this back on. I cannot believe I did that. Yeah, I can. I can totally believe I did that because that's the kind of craziness I do when I get to talking to people and I don't pay attention to what I'm doing. All right. So I'm gluing it back on. I'm gluing it back on because now it's a little extra work. I'm going to have to unscrew all of I'm going to let that glue dry really good before I do this. I'm going to unscrew all these. I'll just take the middle shelf, flip it around because it's got 3 holes. So if it only had 2, I would totally have to cut it again and do it again. But because it's got the 3, I can reverse it. It'll put it on this side where it belongs, and I won't have to remake this. Oh, I can't believe I did that. You do realize we would have never known you messed up had you not said anything. Yeah, I know that, but I'm human. I make mistakes, and I'm man enough to admit it. That was a dummy. Thankfully, I didn't throw it all out and just say, "Oh, I gotta make another." I thought about it, and I was like, "Wait a minute." With the top one, I was able, when I first attached the hinges to the wrong side, I was like, shoot, I had to cut another top, which didn't take but a couple minutes. It just slows me down, right? And I had to unscrew the hinges and put them on the right side. So it's just one of those, when you make a mistake, you think about it. Okay, can I fix it? Is there anything I can do? If I had thought too quickly, I would have just said, "Oh, I'll go cut another one," and started the process. But then I realized, no, it's got 3 holes, so it's reversible, and it can be, and it's only glued to one. Now, if this piece were glued to it and the one on the bottom, I'd be out of luck. I'd have to do both. But because it's glued to only the middle, I can flip the middle around and problem solved. So there you go, problem solved. But yes, I could have just gone, okay, that one's ready to ship, but no. I'm glad you guys see that I'm human and I can make mistakes. What time? Yeah, we're going over an hour here, so I probably need to, there's some things well, first off, I need to go upstairs and say hi to my boy who got home from school and ask him how his day's going. I need to add this to my shopping list. I need to add more 1/32 drill bit to the list. Is there anything else I'm almost out of? I keep Gorilla Tape, duct tape or masking tape, duct tape, and blue painter's tape. Those are my 3 go-tos. And I usually have plenty of rolls, so I don't run out of those. I'm not getting low on this. I'm not getting low on this. So that's about it. And I need to go stain the wood. So I've got some things I got to do, but unfortunately it's going to involve not being in front of this camera. So guys and gals, thanks for hanging out with me for an hour. If you like this thing, let me know. I'm happy to do it. I'm going to be in here working anyway. So if I put the camera on live and occasionally can say hello to some of y'all, I'm happy to do it. If this is kind of not what you want, if you want to see me do live playthroughs, then I'll probably have to move them later in the day, like in the afternoon or late evenings, so I can get my work done. But always good to have you. Always good to say hi to everybody. Always good to make mistakes live on YouTube for the world to see. And I'm just like, can't believe I did that. All right, y'all all go out and post on your Facebook pages. Great live video with the tabletop engineer. Jump to the end where he makes a fatal error on one of his projects. Share it. I don't care. Great live, Jim. See you next time. Yep, Donnie, good to talk to you. All right, everybody. Y'all have a great rest of your Monday. And I'm going to try to do, I do have a live miniature painting session Wednesday night for my patrons. So do come and join me for that. And it's at 8 p.m. on Wednesday nights Eastern. And I'll try to do another one of these live ones probably on Thursday or Friday. That'll probably be best. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good day. And I'll see you in the next one. Everybody, take care.